What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I've been getting a lot of questions about how I store my chargers for the winter, what I do, and things I use to do it. So I'm going to make a video on everything I do when I put these cars away for the winter, and it's been working fine for the 3 going on 4 years now. So I'm going to continue doing it, and I'm going to share what I do because it works for me. Winters here in New York are long. This car, or both of these cars, sit for 6 months out of the year. So like I said, I've been doing it this way for almost this year will be 4 years, no issues. So let's get right into it. All right, so I know there's a ton of different ways to do this. I know there's mixed opinions on what to do, but basically I don't put a lot of miles on this car. I've got 1,200 miles on it this year. So number one, there's a lot of mixed opinions about this. Oil changes. Do you do it before? Do you do it in the spring? I change the oil in the spring. To me, it just doesn't make sense putting nice new oil in there for it to sit for 6 months. Some people say, leaving used oil in there for an extended period of time is going to ruin the engine. Like I said, I've been doing this for going on 4 years now, and I have not seen any signs of any engine issues by just changing the oil in the spring. Granted, I've never put over 2,000 miles on this car before putting it away, so the oil is still like new. So it might depend on how many miles you have on your oil change and the oil that you use. So like I said, this is a total preference thing. In my opinion, I don't think there's a right or wrong, but if you've got 4, 5, 6,000 miles, which I don't know why you would go 6,000, but if you've got quite a bit of miles on your oil change, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to change it before you put it away. My car has 1,100 miles on the oil change. That's all I drove it this year, so I'm not changing it. I don't even think the oil is old enough to even start to break down yet, especially using the Pennzoil Ultra Platinum, the SRT stuff. It's a really high quality oil. It's got a lot of additives in it. It doesn't break down as fast as a lot of other oils. So, like I said, been doing this for going on 4 years now. I haven't had any signs of any issues by just leaving it alone and changing it in the spring. So, that is what I do. And like I said, if you've got quite a bit of miles on your oil change, probably wouldn't hurt to do it before. If you don't have many miles on it, I would just change it in the spring. Number 2 is these tire savers. So I pump the tires up to about 40 psi and try and alleviate any flat spots that I may get. So these Mickey Thompson Street Comps, I actually made the mistake the first year. I didn't have these. Actually, the first 2 years, I didn't have these. And I'm almost positive it ruined my tires, because ever since then, anything over 80, it was just a horrible ride. Super bumpy. So I put new tires on it, and it is as smooth as it could be and as smooth as it should be. So I don't know if that was due to them being out of balance. I balanced them up. They took no weight, but it wasn't a really good balancer. So I don't know if that was a balance thing or if it actually ruined the tires, but I do know for a fact certain tires will get permanent flat spots that will ruin the tires. So I highly recommend these. I'll put these down in the description. They're cheap. I think they're like 150 bucks, not even, from Jegs, but I don't know what the price is. It's somewhere around there. But definitely get a set of these for all corners. Save your tires. So the next thing I do is I leave the battery in it, leave it all hooked up. I've got this Noco battery tender. This thing works fantastic. Been using this thing for years. And it will keep the battery maintained. So, don't need to show you how to hook it up, but I'm going to hook it up right now since I got it anyway. So, I just keep it on the battery tender, and like I said, the battery is as good as new. So the next thing I like to do is run some non-ethanol fuel through it. You don't have to do a whole tank. But I like to, drive, 40, 50 miles and get the non-ethanol through the system. Now, obviously, it's not a carbureted vehicle, so it probably doesn't matter, but for my own sanity, I just do it anyway. So fill it up with some non-ethanol, drive it for a little bit, get it through the system, and then I leave the tank absolutely max, almost spilling out, as full as you can get that tank of non-ethanol. That will help prevent condensation buildup, stuff like that. So that is what I do for fuel. Now, like I said, I've been doing this going on 4 years now. I haven't had any issues. You know, I don't really think it's rocket science, but you know, you can put a fuel stabilizer in there, or whatever you want to do, or just leave it alone. I leave it alone. Like I said, I have had no issues, you know, leaving some quality non-ethanol fuel in there. So the next thing, I don't start this car at all in the winter unless I have to move it for some strange, odd reason. But other than that, I don't start the car. If you're going to start it, in my opinion, starting it and letting it oil for a few minutes is way worse than just letting it sit for however many months. Because what happens is you create condensation throughout the engine, exhaust, and it doesn't get hot enough to burn that condensation off. So it just sits in there, and you know, I don't know what it'll do long term, but I know it's just not a good idea to not allow the engine to get hot and burn all that condensation off. So like I said, been doing this for going on 4 years now, and last year I don't think I started it once at all, and I haven't had a problem. So I don't know if it really matters, but it is absolutely 100% true that if you start any car and you don't let it run long enough, condensation builds up and it just sits in there. It doesn't burn off. So I don't think there's any harm in just letting it sit for however many months you're going to let it sit. I don't think it is any worse than running it. Like I said, I'm not an expert on any of this. This is just what works for me and what makes the most sense to me. So my suggestion, just let it sit. Don't start it. If you're going to start it, drive it. Get it hot enough to burn, you know, all that condensation off. So that's that. The next thing is wash it, of course. Get it nice and clean for the spring. And last but not least, car cover. So I made a few videos on car covers. This one here is the OEM all-weather one. Very, very nice. I actually didn't mean to get this one. I have a video on it. I meant to get this one, but something happened with the dealer. It was packaged wrong or something, but it's still a very nice cover. I actually like it better than this Charger one. This one is like, it's got a fleece liner on the inside and it's breathable. It's actually a very, very nice cover, but this one is much thinner, way easier to take on and off. You can't go wrong with either of them. Part numbers for both will be down below, but either or, they work really good. They're actually made by Covercraft, so it's a really high quality cover. They're pretty expensive. They're almost $400, but like I said, they work really good. I've actually been using this really cheap one from Amazon. It's like a really thin spandex material. This one actually works really, really good too. So if you don't want to spend $300-400 on an OEM one, this Amazon one, again, I'll have everything linked down below. This one works really good. It is a dust cover. It is not made to go outside. It's extremely thin, but it's thick enough to, you know, keep the dust down at least. Keep it clean for the most part. I actually found that keeping the cars covered all year round, even in the summertime, I keep them covered. It severely cuts down on the dust inside the car. Like my dash used to be it used to get pretty dusty, and then, like I said, I don't drive this car more than like 1,500 miles a year. But ever since covering it just all year round, the inside stays almost dust free. So, so covers, yeah, just any cover really doesn't matter. If you have indoor storage, any cover really works. You know, like I said, this one's probably your best bet because it's a little thicker. You know, it can sustain accidental side swipes. You know, if you're carrying something, you got something in your pocket, it'll sustain, you know, impacts a little bit better than that thin one. But you know, if you're careful, it really doesn't matter. But yeah, guys, so just a quick recap. You know, the oil change, like I said, that is totally preference. If you're not crazy over on your oil change and you use quality oil, I don't see the harm in just leaving it in there, changing it first thing in the spring. Second thing, the tire savers, must have. I didn't put the backs on yet because I gotta jack the back up on the diff and put them on. Otherwise they just spin off. So tire savers. Next thing, the battery maintainer. There's a bunch of different ones. This Noco one is super nice. And one thing I forgot to mention about this is it has a forced charge mode. So this is a charger and a maintainer. So a lot of battery chargers don't have or will not recognize a completely dead battery. So if it's less than 1 volt, a lot of battery chargers won't recognize it, which means it won't charge it. This has a forced charge mode, so if you have a battery that is completely dead, you hold this button for the mode button for 5 seconds, and it will force charge that battery. So it'll sort of revive it enough to at least start the vehicle. So this thing is awesome. So yeah, some sort of a maintainer. I highly recommend this one, but there's tons of them. There's Battery Tender brand. There's, I mean, even the Schumacher ones from Walmart work fine. Really any battery charger, but that one's the best. Next thing, fuel. Like I said, that's, you know, it's preference. I fill it with a tank of non-ethanol. Haven't had a problem. Fuel stabilizer, whatever you want to do, and you know, clean them up, cover them up, and it'll be ready for you in the spring. So guys, hopefully that helps clear up any questions anybody has. That is how I do it, and I have had much success doing it that way. So like I said, hope this helps you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.